Welcome. Today we're going to be talking about 3.6, adding and subtracting decimals. A couple of our key words today, vocabulary, is commutative property of addition. In a sum, you can add terms in any order, and over here is an example of what that looks like. We're going to go into a little bit more detail about that. So basically we're saying that order doesn't matter. 4 plus 7 is the same as 7 plus 4. Also, we're going to talk about the associative property of addition. The value of the sum does not depend on how the numbers are grouped. So grouping doesn't matter. And so we're going to say, well, 9 plus 4, and then plus 6, and then 9, and then you do 4 plus 6 first. So it doesn't matter how it's grouped. And we'll talk a little bit more about that with a little illustration. To start off, so let's do an example. Say that we have Sam, and he's decided to go to a concert, and they're going to ride in the same car as his brother Fred. And they decide to invite their cousin Susie. So these three, they're going over to the concert. They're in their car. Now Sam may be driving the car. Fred is in the passenger seat, and Susie's in the back seat. So they're all in the car, and they head over. Well, they decide to stop and switch the driver. So Fred is now driving, Susie's in the passenger seat, and Sam is in the back. Now we notice that it doesn't matter the order that they're in, they're all in the car. They're still all in the car. There's still three people in the car. It doesn't matter where they sit, especially let's just make a note that all of them have their driver's license so that they're okay. Now, so order doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if Sam is in first position, Fred's in second position, Susie's in third, or if Fred's in first position, Susie's in second, and Sam's in third. It really doesn't matter the order. We're still going to get the same. And this goes for addition and also multiplication. It doesn't matter the order 4 plus 7 or 7 plus 4 or 4 times 7, 7 times 4. You're going to get the same answer for each type of property. So the commutative property is of addition, and it also is of multiplication. But we're just talking about addition today. Next, we're going to be talking about associative property. So let's take that same group. We have Sam, we have Fred, and we have Susie. And we're going to set it equal to them, and we're going to keep their order the same, but then we're going to group. So we're saying that Sam and Fred are going to be in the front seat. So they're grouped in the front. And so we do Sam and Fred, and then Susie's going to be in the back. We decide to change that and say that Fred and Susie are going to be in the front, and then Sam's in the back. So grouping, those are grouped. Those are who group together. Keywords, we have order for commutative, and for associative we have group. So one thing that I like to think about is I think order doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I go from Sam to Susie or from Fred to Sam. And so we're going to move on, and we're going to talk about some more about today's assignment. So today we're going to be adding and subtracting decimals. So that's our thing. We have before added and subtracted whole numbers. Now we're going to add and subtract decimals. Now, decimal operation, to add or subtract decimals, line up the decimal points. This is the most important thing that you can do. And then you add and subtract with whole numbers and bring down the decimal point. So we'll kind of see that. And let's kind of look at another key thing that we want to look at is over here, down here in the bottom, adding zeros. You can write zeros after the last digit of a decimal number to help you line up the decimal points. So we have the example 9.8 plus 2.12. Well, obviously 9.8 and 9.80 are the same thing, and those two are the same thing. And so we just do that and line it up. You notice that the first number goes in the first spot. Okay, that first number goes in that first spot. And that's really important. We want to get in that habit because with subtraction, we look right here. 8 is in that first spot, right? And 1.65 is in that second spot. Same thing right here. And all the time we are adding zeros to make sure that we have the same amount of placeholders. So we have zeros here and we have a 0 there. And that's just how we're going to set them up today. In the math book, you're going to notice that they look like this, and we're going to write them out like this to show our work. So to start off, we're going to be on page 151, and this is assignment 3.6. So it says vocabulary, copy and complete. According to the blank property, the value of the sum does not depend on how the numbers are grouped. Keyword, grouped. And we're talking about that. Grouped is who you associate with, so that is the associative property. Now, number 2, it says vocabulary, copy and complete. According to the blank property, you can add numbers in any order. Keyword, order. And so we know that order doesn't matter when we add, and that's known as the commutative property. Number 4, in your book, you're going to notice that it looks, or number 3, it looks like this. And we're going to write it vertically, so I'm going to write 3.6, then I'm going to write 1.89. Now remember, I have to add a 0 to that to make it the same. And so once I have done that, I'm going to forget about my decimal for a minute, and I'm going to go 9 plus 0 is 9. 8 plus 6 is 14. I'm going to carry my 1. Now I have 1 plus 3 plus 1, which is 5. Then I bring my decimal straight down. Box my answer, go on to number 4, set it up. And we notice right here that we need to add a 0, so we add a 0 to that spot. Then we just add like normal. 4 plus 0 is 4. 5 plus 1 is 6. 6 plus 2 is 8. And 1 plus nothing is 1. Now, I don't have to put a 0 here because we know that that's given. We just like to do it over here just to help line up our decimals. Bring that decimal straight down. Do the same thing for number 5. Set it up. Put the 0 there. We're all set to go. But can we subtract 6 from 0? No, we can't, so we have to borrow. And we remember how to borrow. Now we have 4. Got to borrow again. That gives us 17. That gives us 8. 1. Bring down the decimal. Box your answer. Number 6. This is just 4. And how would we do that as a decimal? Well, we notice that we have 2 spots after the decimal, so I need to have 2 zeros. Once I've done that, I bring down that. Now I could just think of money and say, I have $4 and I take away 25 cents. I know I'm going to have $3.25. But let's talk about borrowing across 0. So I go to the 4. I take away that. And then that gives me, I take away from there, that would have been a 10, but I just make it a 9 because I'm going to take away from it. And then that gives me a 10 right there. And so we have 5, then we have 7, then we have 3, and bring down your decimal. Box your answer. Now this is a quick video on how to add and subtract decimals. The most important thing when we add or subtract decimals is line up the decimals. That'll help you keep the addition and subtraction correct. I hope you have a great day, and this has been another lesson brought to you by Mr. Eves.